everyone, and welcome back to Purple Nuna Podcast. I am Stephanie Conti, and I am here with my bestie, my co-host, my everything, Savannah Lanelse.
Hi.
So today's episode is going to be a little bit special because normally we review movies, of course, if you've listened, you know. But today we're actually going to be ranking our top 10, with a little bonuses here and there, our top 10 movies that we recommend, from, oh yeah, you should give this a chance, to my favorite, gonna be your favorite, it's the best of the best horror movies for the season. So hopefully you'll be able to hear this before Halloween, and so this will help you kind of figure out what you're going to watch on Halloween night and what you're going to watch up until Halloween. And you know what? You can also easily watch all these movies after Halloween too. You can break the rules. So before we get into that, Savannah, have you been watching anything recently non-spooky that's caught your attention?
I think I have. I wrote it down somewhere. Every time you ask me this question, I blank.
I know.
Just
Me
like,
too. I'm even just thinking now, like, what have I watched?
I did see The Last Duel.
How was it?
Okay, it was fantastic.
Oh, okay. You got me nervous. I thought when you said, okay, I was going to be like, no, she's going to say it was bad.
No, it's probably Ridley Scott's one of his best movies. And
That's what I've heard. That's what, and keep in mind, Ridley Scott is in his 80s.
Yes.
And he's putting out bangers like this.
I'm very disappointed because it bombed at the box office. It did not get the recognition.
$100 million to make, and it only made like $3 million its opening weekend, which is nothing.
I'm nervous because it basically just means that like period movies and movies like this are not doing well at the theater, which basically means like, okay, are we going to not see these kinds of films anymore to begin with? Which makes me nervous.
Or they're just going to be like HBO or Netflix special releases type of thing, you know?
But it really was such a great movie. And unfortunately, I think the trailer maybe didn't do it justice. Maybe it was just that.
And they have powerhouse actors in that movie.
Yeah.
You have both. You got the Boston Boys. You got Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Adam Driver. You have Jodie Comer from Killing Eve. Like, they have a ridiculous cast.
I will say maybe people thought it was going to be bad. And I can understand that because I didn't go in with a lot of expectation, particularly because the trailer was okay. I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't know how Ben Affleck and Matt Damon would do in a period piece. Like, I was kind of like, this could go very well, or this could just be very bad.
I will say too, like, the makeup and everything looks good from like what I've seen in the trailers and stuff. Ben Affleck looks great as a blonde, but they really did Matt Damon dirty.
They gave him a mullet. It was weird.
Matt Damon looks horrendous in this movie. And he's such a good looking actor too. But I saw him, and even like my dad, because I told him, I was like, oh, both Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are in this movie. He was like, what? He was like, where is he? I'm like, Dad, he's on the cover. He's like, no, he's not. I don't see him. I'm like, that's him. And he was like, oh, dear God. Like, he couldn't even recognize him.
But I feel like that's why people didn't take it seriously, because he doesn't look good in the film. In the trailer, like, he had a mullet. It was very...
I think that advertising for new movies have been really crappy lately. Like, I never seen on YouTube, on any type of streaming service or any, cable network, any type of news. And even like the IMDb app, I'm always on that thing. Never heard anything about The Last Duel. Literally did not hear anything until I saw it being played on the theater when I was looking up what movies to watch.
Yeah, no, it sucks. And I feel like they could have just done so much better. The only movies that are doing very well are the big blockbusters. So Dune, the Marvel movies are doing really well, and well-known directors and actors. So I think The French Dispatch is doing very well.
It broke the record. It beat Shang-Chi.
Yay! I'm excited. I'm seeing it today.
I think it's because of Timothée Chalamet. I think if right now He's like, if you notice, literally all the movies that he's been in within the past 3 years have been like big movies, especially the two this year. He's in the two biggest films of the year. And I think that him and his fan base and everything are the reason why it's doing so well. Because normally, like, dude, I remember Grand Budapest Hotel. That movie was not showing anywhere when I tried seeing it. I had to scour theaters to be able to watch a Wes Anderson movie in a theater. And now it's like readily a majority of, oh my god,
It's okay.
no strokes today.
It's okay.
Pretty it's pretty available, except for my favorite theaters not showing it, and now I got major beef with them because I don't want to drive 40 minutes.
I am so disappointed in them. Like, if any movie would be playing there, it would be this movie.
Yes, and that's what's so upset. Cinepolis, you need to reach out to me because your repertoire of films, not baller. You could be thriving and you're deciding not to. So let's fix this. Call me.
Yeah,
Cinepolis Hamlin, call me.
Disappointed. But
so it's just,
I'm just hoping.
Oh, and then even No Time to Die didn't do that good,
which is surprising. Like, I don't really understand, to be honest. Like, I don't understand this. Blockbusters are going to do well regardless, but I think the pandemic and the slow return to theaters, and it really messed up. Like, we are now comfortable, like, sitting in our homes watching a movie, which is fair. Like, it's fair.
mm-hmm.
But I don't know, like, if I'm being completely honest, I think movies like The Last Duel need to be seen in theaters just because it's not going to be the same experience at home. It's just not.
No, same with something like Dune.
Yeah.
Like, any type of space or period piece should definitely be watched on a bigger screen, in my opinion. You know, you want to watch a rom-com or something like that with Pete Davidson. No disrespect to Pete Davidson or anything, but you could easily watch that off a streaming service at home, you know?
Yeah.
But Dune and all things like that, like, those are the things that those are totally going to be worth, so long as they have a good plot. They're going to be worth, you know, watching and everything. I also think that Dune has done really well because of TikTok, because the amount of people that have been going on TikTok and talking about how in one day they're reading the book Dune, which props to them because that book is massive, but in one, like, so many people, I've probably seen like 30 TikToks about people trying to read Dune all in one day before watching the movie.
I'm not doing that. Sorry.
No thanks.
I'll take my chances.
At the end of the day, too, 9 times out of 10, if you read the book before the movie, you're going to be disappointed in the movie. I'd rather like the movie, enjoy the movie, then read the book and be like, oh, this is what they could have done differently. But my initial viewing of the movie stays. That's how I like to do it.
So 2 things I also want to say about this, what we're talking about. One, I feel like movies like Dune had so much advertising for it. Like, I'm talking about a year before it came out. Like, last year, I remember seeing like Dune. And I think, unfortunately, that's what movies are going to have to do if they want that big theater turnout. The Last Duel had nothing. The Last Duel had a trailer, I think maybe a month before it came out. That's not going to do it. It's not going to do it, especially for period pieces. So I think what's going to happen is these, not smaller movies, but not blockbuster movies, like, you know, the average movie is going to have to advertise like a blockbuster, unfortunately. I think that's what it's going to take. I don't know what else I was going to say.
Also, you know what else is done? I'm telling you right now, I'm gut feeling I'm not going to like this movie. And I know why I'm not going to like this movie coming.
That.
No, not the movie you're thinking of. I'm talking about the movie Eternals. I think Marvel screwed up immensely with the Eternals.
Why?
And I say that because you now have a movie that's supposed to have a myriad of characters that we're supposed to follow, you know, throughout after this movie and everything, right? I don't know why they didn't do the Avengers approach, why they didn't give us individual movies for these people and everything like that, and then shift it into the Eternals and then make the Eternals kind of like the next version of the Avengers. Now we have a ton of characters. Like, unless you read the comics, you don't know who any of these people are. So why should you care about this Marvel movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't know any of these people. There's so many big name actors. But the thing is like, we haven't gotten a glimpse of these characters. Also, full disrespect, you got Chloe Zhao to write and direct it. This is going to be literally her movie, the other one, Nomadland, but Marvel.
Stop.
It's not. You can't, especially when you have this many people and like Avengers. You gotta go for the action movie director. It's just the best formula for that. Maybe you could try going like you have to go with ensemble type directors, and Chloe Zhao has not proved herself to be an ensemble type director.
You know what the controversy about the movie is now, right? Did you hear about
What?
it? There's a
No.
sex scene. And this is my issue. I have no issue with that in general, usually. But in a Marvel movie, a superhero movie, a sex scene, which I believe to be a full-fledged sex scene,
I don't know if it can be because it is PG-13.
But like,
that there might be huffing and puffing and heavy breathing in the beginning, and then it cuts.
Whatever they can do up to that. My issue is with that is I haven't seen it, so maybe I'm going to put a disclaimer. I could be totally wrong. But is it completely necessary to do that in a superhero movie that a bunch of kids are going to see?
Yeah, and it's like, that's why I think they should have done the single approach, with focusing on specific characters, like how they did with Shang-Chi. Now, if Shang-Chi was in the Eternals, then that would be a good segue. But as far as we know, he's not. So, I just don't. And plus, by the way, when you read the Eternals, it says that it's about beings who lived on Earth and shaped its history and civilizations.
Yeah.
That's just like the last dinosaur.
Stop.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it doesn't have a lot. My girl Angie is in it. I love Angie. She's my boo thing. I love me some Angelina Jolie. But it's just like, it already has a 6.9.
I think they're going to cram too much in that movie, and we're not going to get a lot out of it. I really do.
It's just too many characters for me to care about. And also, how do you have that many characters with no established storylines in cinematic history right now, right? How do you have that many characters established, right? How are we going to even experience some type of character arc or character growth or any of that?
I agree. I don't know. I also feel like I've always said this about Marvel. Marvel knows, Disney knows that they're going to make money no matter what they put out, unfortunately. And I feel like that could be a good thing or a bad thing. And most of the time, that's usually a bad thing. And I feel like they were kind of like, okay, let's just do it all one shot. And I don't know if it's going to work. I have a feeling you're correct on this.
It's like, obviously, like, I'm going to wait and see, but I just don't have high expectations for it,
Yeah, no, I agree. How do you feel?
Sorry. It's just, I don't know, just I was just going to say the look of it, the posters and everything. I'm going to say it, for Marvel, it looks cheap. The costuming and everything does not look good, in my opinion.
I think like I said, I think they know they're going to make money. So they kind of was just like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
One last question before we get into our timeline. How do you feel about Last Night in Soho?
I don't know.
Me neither.
Because it is not what I expected it to be. It's also kind of not what I was wanting. So I'm perplexed in that way. It's not. I think when I think of that director and his work and his filmography, I expect, kind of like with Wes Anderson, you can expect a lot of things from Wes Anderson. Like, French Dispatch is obviously going to be a a Wes Anderson movie, without a doubt. This doesn't feel like what's his name? Edgar?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like his movie. Edgar Wright. It doesn't feel like his movie,
It doesn't. And so from what I can tell from the trailer, the approach, it really could be one of those things where, like, this could be really, really good, or this could be like a stupid idea, like a stupid premise. And I'm nervous because I really, really want this to be good. I have high hopes for it because we don't get a lot of this type of film. We don't get a lot of thrillers, a lot of like interesting plot when it comes to horror. So I'm nervous because I this could go either way. I feel like a lot of movies could go either way. That's too much.
Yeah.
We don't
I
need
think
that.
also for me, and I feel like this is kind of a little bit of a hot take because I've yet to see someone who has the same opinion. I'm not a fan of Anya Taylor-Joy. I don't particularly think that she's that good.
What is she in? Because I'm trying to think if
Queen's Gambit and stuff like that.
she's good. I don't have a, how do I
I
put
think
this?
she's a good actress, but I don't think, aside from her looks, because I do think she's very pretty and I think she's super unique looking, you know?
Yes, she
But
is. Yeah.
she doesn't bring anything to the table differently. And also the other actress in that movie too, she was in the movie Old. Now, Old had a weird script, so I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and just say that she had to do weird stuff because the script was kind of horrendous for Old in terms of the dialogue.
Yeah.
But the other girl in it, Thomasin McKenzie, I don't know how I feel about her either.
They definitely picked very interesting leads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about either of them. I think Anya is a good actress. I just never seen her anything that sets her apart. Like you were saying, like there's nothing that makes her super unique. This girl, I haven't seen anything besides Old, and like you said, that was probably not her fault.
And like I said, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt because the dialogue in the movie Old was rough. Like everyone
Yeah.
had some type of different dialect, and it didn't feel like it was because all of them had different accents. It was because it felt a little forced. But I don't know. Like I feel like everyone, like when people talk about Anya Taylor-Joy, everyone's like, "Oh my god, we love her," and I'm like, I feel like she kind of reminds me of Scarlett Johansson, where it's like, yeah, they're okay, but like I don't notice anything super special. It wasn't really until Jojo Rabbit for me that I saw a little bit something different in Scarlett Johansson. But I hate to say, I still think her best performance is in her, and we don't even see her. And I feel bad saying that, but she did a great job
She
voice
did.
acting that.
She
She
did.
conveyed a lot. Like that's what I thought was impressive with that role with her. But all her other roles, like in Marvel and everything, I'm just like, it's aight, you know?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. I think this movie can go either way, and I'm hoping we'll see something great from these two actors. Maybe like the script is a little bit more but again, it's a really weird premise. So I don't know what to particularly expect.
I'll probably watch it, and but I'm just gonna have to slightly forget for a second that it's an Edgar Wright film.
Oh, you know what it is too, I think?
What?
Our generation, like people around our age, we don't have a lot of actors. Think about it. Around our age, we have Timothée Chalamet, who I think is great. We have Zendaya, we have Saoirse Ronan,
Mm-hmm.
and Anya Taylor-Joy.
And a lot of yeah, and maybe you could sprinkle in other cast members from Euphoria and things like that. But I also feel like it's maybe because they're part of the same wave of acting, except for Chalamet. They kind of all have similar acting styles.
Now, why do you think Chalamet, he's obviously a fantastic actor, but he's definitely on a different level than almost, besides Saoirse Ronan too. Saoirse Ronan and Timothée Chalamet, why do you think they are so set apart? Is it their training? Because I was thinking about that. They are in almost all the films they did are fantastic. They're fantastic, but there's not a lot of people around their age. Like when you think back to the generation of like Leonardo DiCaprio, you had Brad Pitt, you have Keanu Reeves, you had all these people, and then when you look at the people our age, there are some good actors, but then when you think of like the people that are going to be like amazing at this, it's Timothée Chalamet, Saoirse Ronan. Why do you think that is? Do they have different training?
I think different training because also Saoirse Ronan is European. She's from Ireland, I believe. So I think she also brings to the table the type of acting that you would see in like Irish and British culture. And that's why it feels so fresh to us.
Right.
You know? As for Timothée Chalamet, I honestly just think I think he's different because I truly think, based on his history and everything, he is not a nepotism kid, which is rare. A lot of the actors today are kids of nepotism.
That's
I think
true.
he was maybe like comes from like a well endowed family, but all of like everything that he did, he's been putting his heart into. I think he's a good actor because he genuinely loves what he does. He doesn't seem like an actor who's just kind of acting just to, whatever. This is just how I'm going to make my money. I got lucky and I'm going to keep the streak going. It seems like he genuinely picks roles and does acting because he loves it.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
And if you also know, like, he has a pretty good track record too. Like, even
Yeah.
like some younger actors and things like that get into controversies and stuff. He has a really good track record. And I think that's just because, like I said, he's doing movies because he loves, being in them, not necessarily because he's doing it to make money.
Yeah, I could see that. Definitely.
So I think maybe that's why. But and I know he has I think it's because he's also, I could be wrong, but I will say a lot of people do training and everything like that, but there is only one consistent method that I think is actually good for acting and it produces the best actors. And it's not method acting. It's not going to like LA and going to all those places in LA. I think New York, where he's from, has the best acting
Oh,
coaches
totally
because
agree.
the best acting coach, in my opinion, was Stella Adler. She
Yes,
was the one who
Brando,
morphed
right?
Marlon Brando.
Yep.
And then from there, because who adored Marlon Brando? Johnny Depp, Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, all those people adored Brando. And so they just learned everything from Stella Adler and just kind of took it and applied it and, kind of remixed it for their years of acting.
Yes.
So that's why I think her technique, and that is all like this New York style acting in terms of like, I think also too, a lot of actors who start doing training in New York are also trained too for roles for Broadway. I think people who have Broadway background or at least have been taught in Broadway acting can perform 10 times more in film set acting
Okay. Yeah.
because now they have the technique to, if directors want to do real dramatic long takes, Broadway actors remember full hour-long scripts.
Yeah.
They can do that. Broadway actors also know how to ad lib when you're in front of people. I think Broadway acting, which I think is what Timothée Chalamet has, heightens his ability to act. And it actually makes film acting a lot easier.
Sure. Sure.
So there
Interesting.
is, I think that's a big caveat. I think that's because that's just kind of enrooted in New York acting teachings.
Yeah, I
Because why
agree.
are you going to teach someone in Los Angeles, oh, you want to be a Broadway star, eh? Like, no, there's no Broadway in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's
You're going
true.
to do that in New York,
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. Good to know.
So that's my acting opinion.
Very
But
nice.
yeah, Stella Adler, she's the queen. She's the queen of acting. I wish she was given a better career in her own thing so we
Oh,
could have seen
yeah,
more of her stuff.
definitely.
So yeah. And then also too, like the last thing I'll say about it, when you have a female actress teaching male actors, you're also now going to get emotions that maybe, especially for the times, men were too afraid of conveying, but now they're able
Okay.
to learn how to convey it from a
That's
female perspective.
that's a very
And
good
that's why I
point.
think Brando, dude, I'm a Brando historian. You know me.
Oh,
Like
no, I know.
I think that's why Brando was kind of like the setting stone for everything because even if you look at On the Waterfront, there's a scene where Brando displays a lot of weakness and it's one of Brando's most famous speech where he's like, I could have been a contender. That is not a masculine scene. That is feminine style acting done by a male actor.
Yeah. Yes.
It's literally like saying like, I could have been born prettier. I could have done my hair and things like that, taking that, but applying it from a male perspective. And you get something rare, which is a male invoking emotion at that level during that time.
Hmm. Interesting point.
I'm done with my Brando and Stella Adler soapbox. You ready to talk spooky stuff now?
Absolutely.
All right. So before we get into our top 10, so you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay, what's your honorable mention before number 10?
Harry Potter 1 through, I believe, 5.
So ending at the Goblet of Fire, or wait, how many were there?
There was like 8, but like 8 was part 2, 7 part 2. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, no, because after the Goblet of Fire, the Harry Potter movies are a bummer.
Goblet of Fire was peak with
After
Cedric
that,
Diggory.
it just gets
cinema.
It gets depressing. And I watched Harry Potter this year for the first time. I loved it. 1 through 5, whimsical, fun, entertaining. And then
The
once
other
you
ones
get
got pretty dark and a little too sad and bleak.
it was 7 part 1. I don't know, that was the depressive dream. I didn't like it. It was too much. They killed off the elf. That was too much.
Dobby?
They killed off Dobby in 7 part 1, I think.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen those since I saw it in theater, so it's been a while.
But I like it. I do. I enjoy Harry Potter. I see
It's
the
a
hype.
fun world. It's a fun world of knowledge.
And I think it would be a fun thing to watch every year for Halloween. I think that'll be my new tradition, 1 through 5, and then I'll stop after that.
Definitely fall feels. It's definitely, even you can watch it all the way till Thanksgiving, you know?
Yes, yeah. So for sure, and I'm bringing it up again because it's my first time watching it. So I'm sure everybody already does this, but I enjoy it.
Is your favorite Goblet of Fire?
Goblet of Fire, and then I like the one where they go back in time. Which one was that?
Oh, I think that was the third one. I think that
By
was
the
the third
way,
one.
We got to ask Christopher Nolan some questions because after I watched that, I was like, Tenet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. At
No.
first I was like, wait a minute, did Chris Nolan direct? No, I thought you were saying he directed Harry Potter for some reason.
No. No.
But yeah, where she had like the little hourglass thing and with the spindle and everything like that. That might have been The Prisoner of Azkaban. I could be wrong though.
Maybe. I don't remember. But oh, yeah, I think you're
Goblet of
right.
Fire was
that was so fun. That was so
Goblet
fun.
of Fire is the best. I will say, and you know what? It was always the hardest one for me to find watching. I don't know why Goblet of Fire is not as received well. I don't know which one is the highest rating out of all of them, but Goblet of Fire smacks. You know, if you see Daniel Radcliffe and the shaggy hair with the bangs, you know it's going to be fire. Robert Pattinson's in it. It's going to be fire.
Yeah, no, I agree. That was the most fun for sure. Like I enjoyed watching that out of all of them. I didn't like Chamber of Secrets too much. That's probably my least favorite.
That's kind of the forgotten one. Yeah, not a lot of people talk about that one.
I think that's the second one. But
so it looks like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 is the highest rated one.
That was all right.
Oh, what's that? That's my alarm. I don't know why it's dinging.
That was all right. We got a good ending, but no, not for me. Too sad.
So for me, I have 2 runner-ups, and one of them I just watched the other day. So that's why I'm like, oh, I'm going to include it. Normally, I never talk about animation movies, but this one I'm going to include in. And it's one that I recently watched, and I watched it with my boyfriend, and we both thoroughly enjoyed it. Like, it was really well written, it was really funny and everything. And that is the Invader Zim movie that came out 2 years ago. It is so great. It's called like Invasion of the Florpus or something like that. It was really cute. The style of it and everything was super nostalgic. Definitely, if you liked Invader Zim growing up, the movie does not disappoint. It was really fun to watch.
That's fun.
And it's essentially like a long episode. It's like an hour and 10 minutes or something. So even you don't have to know anything about Invader Zim to watch it. It's really, really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Okay, that's cool. That's a good one.
So that one was good. Okay, now and then I'm going to just briefly mention 3 TV shows if you want to start something spooky for the season, okay?
I have 2, but I have a feeling you're going to talk about one of them. So
the first one is Bates Motel.
Oh, okay.
Bates
I don't
Motel,
have that one.
Banger. My favorite TV show. I love Twin Peaks and everything, but for some reason, Bates Motel just does it right. And so many people might be like, you're stupid for that. And I don't care. I love Bates Motel.
I am going to check it out because you've been talking about it for a really long time.
It's because I've never seen a show go on for that long, because Twin Peaks didn't go on for that long. I mean, the episodes were long, especially season 3, but Twin Peaks doesn't go on for that long. Bates Motel goes on for like 8 seasons, I think. And there was not a plot introduction or a plot point that I don't disagree with. And it's very dark. Very dark. A lot of people think like, oh, it is way darker than the original Psycho movie. It is
Wow.
extremely dark. First
Okay.
episode, spoiler, the first
Okay.
episode starts with like essentially the first episode literally has a rape scene in it. And it's and that's not why you watch it. But in the first
Stephanie.
episode, obviously, that's not why you watch it. But in the first episode, there's already like 3 kills in like the first episode.
Okay, so it's just like from the jump.
Yeah. And it just kind of you really get to see how, Norman Bates from this perspective really starts losing it. So he starts losing it from the get-go. It's not like, oh, a long progressive wait or anything like that. It's fantastic.
Okay.
And the acting in it is done. It's Vera Farmiga and the guy who plays Norman Bates, I forget his Freddie Highmore. And they're just amazing acting in this. But they also bring in like sex trafficking and a lot of weed plots and things like that. Things I was never expecting from this show. And they all still do it while it takes place in the early 2000s, but it still has a very nice 60s motif to it. And the set is incredible. So really just watch it. It's so good. And right now it's available for free on IMDb, like TV or something like that.
It's not on Netflix anymore?
No, but you can watch it with ads for free on IMDb.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
the
gonna check it
entire
out.
show.
For sure.
So good. It's so good. I literally have Bates Motel coasters in my car. It's so good.
That's right. Yeah.
What is your number one spot for spooky TV shows?
Simpsons Treehouse Horror.
Oh, yes. I know you watch that like every year, right?
I do. I love it. They do a lot of spoofs on horror movies. It's fun. It has a very it has a nostalgia factor to it because like when I was a kid, I used to watch it. So, and they still keep the same intro, same vibe. It's very Halloween. I love it. It's always funny. This year, they did a spoof on Parasite.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it was great. So I recommend it. They're fun. Now, there are like 32 of them now. So I think you would have to watch you could still watch one every day up to Halloween, maybe like extra, but they're really fun. I totally recommend it.
Nice. I actually haven't seen one, but I will say I am someone who adores the Simpsons movie a little too much. So I definitely think it's time. And I never watched a show growing up, but for some reason the movie has a chokehold on my childhood. So I think it's time that I expand that. And like whenever we go to Universal too, I'm like, we're going to Simpsons World. We're going to the Simpsons.
You have to. I don't know why you don't watch it. It's your thing.
I really should. It's just something that just never pops in my head. But when the Simpsons movie is on, we're all sitting down by the fire and watching it by demand because that's just my legislature in the household.
Yeah.
The second show I put was, of course, Twin Peaks. I feel like, the song and everything is very fallish.
Oh, yeah, that is great.
You can watch Twin Peaks in the summer. No, you got to watch it in the fall. And then you said you only had 2, right?
Yeah.
The other one is Riget.
Riget?
Riget.
Oh, God.
Riget, it's got the spook factor. It's got a lot of different things to it. It's weird. It's creepy. And for me, I noticed while making my list, I like horror that involves like bodily horror. I don't know why that's a thing for me, but I just noticed that yesterday when I was making my list. So it makes sense when you have that weird baby in Riget.
Dude, you gotta watch Malignant. I really feel like you'd like it. I think it's up your alley for sure.
Okay. I gotta give it a chance then. And you said Simpsons, and then what was your second show?
What We Do in the Shadows. I thought you were gonna say it, so I was just like,
oh. That's, of course, I think it was because I was thinking more like scary and spooky stuff, but that, of course, that's a banger. I mean, me and Zach are literally doing a portrait soon as Laszlo and Nadja.
I'm so excited to see it. No, yeah, for me.
I think it's going to be great.
I like to, for Halloween, I like to include like spooky, like really scary movies, but also just like fun Halloween stuff. I don't like doing straight horror for the month of October. So I like to
Gotcha.
sprinkle in like, okay, like fun. And
Yeah, my little fun was Invader Zim, and
yeah,
that's
I love
still
it.
pretty dark when you consider like the art style and everything.
No, but it's cute. He's cute.
Well, you know what Invader Zim is based? Do you know what it's based off of?
I never watched it when I was a kid, so I don't know too much
You got
about it.
okay. Zach never saw the original show either, and he really liked the movie. But essentially, the reason why it's so creepy is because it's by a artist named, I think his name is Joan Vasquez. I think that's how you pronounce it. Um, but he originally wrote like comics for like goth magazines, and it was loosely based on one of his first comics called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Oh God.
And it was
Okay.
about like, obviously you can get it in the title, but then they ended up turning it into something pretty, it's like Tim Burton-y cute, where it's like creepy a
Yeah.
little bit. I think definitely the art style is creepier than Tim Burton, but you got to see Enter the Florpus. It's good.
Okay.
That's the only cutesy thing I will indulge in. Maybe some more Invader Zim episodes, but that's the only thing I'll indulge with in this Halloween.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so what is your number 10 spot for Halloween movies?
Muppets Halloween. Listen, I will
Okay, I will
rock.
say this, and I'm going to expose you for a second, because yesterday morning at 7 a.m., we were not discussing about it until 3 days prior. I just received a voice memo from Savannah going, "Mama, mama, 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 mama," with no context or anything.
I really love the Muppets. It's a fast. I don't know why. I think I like
Who's your
uh
favorite Muppet?
Pepe because he looks like my
Yeah.
brother. So
Stop! That's slanderous.
he knows it's fine. No, I like the Muppets. I think they're funny. I think they're cute. Muppets Halloween is, well, it's Muppets Haunted Mansion, and it's really funny, even for like grown-ups. Uh, and it's also based on the ride at Disney World. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I think we need more Muppet stuff. That little
I,
corner,
I, I agree. I agree.
like that little corner they got in Hollywood Studios, is not cutting it. I'm really upset that they have not expanded on it. I feel like Muppets
That's
gets
fair.
left in the shadows a lot, but it's great.
Hmm.
And it's fun. It's a little spooky, little trinklets of spooky, but Muppets Halloween is number 10. Muppets Haunted Mansion.
God, if you're gonna just continue with like the little cutesy horror stuff,
No,
I'm gonna look like insane.
no,
I'm gonna look insane with my
I
list.
have scary stuff. I have scary
Okay.
stuff. There's only one other animated film I have, but everything else is grown up horror. So
So
don't
my
worry.
number 10, which I think is actually technically my number 11. I think there's actually 11 on my list.
That's okay.
This was it's a movie you actually don't like.
All right, let's hear it.
It's the movie Antiviral.
Yeah, I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, it fascinated me when I first watched it. It still fascinates me. The whole concept of it, it's so out there, but
Yeah.
it's from the mind of David Cronenberg's son, Brandon Cronenberg. And it was just, I really liked it. I really liked the concept of it. Maybe the execution could have been a little bit better, but I don't know why. Antiviral has maybe like if I watch it, I haven't seen it in a few years. It's just that like stuck in my head. But maybe if I rewatched it, I may not like it as much as I did when I originally saw it. But from based on my first time watching it, I really liked it. It's something different that I don't think. And once again, I said I'm not a fan of ghost stories. I'm not a fan of things of that. I like bodily harm in movies. That is just
Oh
something
God.
that's the type of horror I can get behind. And so Antiviral is one of them.
I really think it's one of those things where it's a fantastic idea, but I think it could have been better plot wise. Like it could have been executed a lot better. And I think where it struggles is the dialogue. But I agree with you. The concept is it should be explored more.
Yeah, like I think for me the concept was enough, and I think also we've had that conversation of like how serious do you take horror films compared to regular films and stuff. I think that has some persuasiveness to it, but it,
Mm,
it it just sticks in my head. You know, when I was writing this list, I was like, oh, what would be something I'd recommend, and or at least not like oh you got to watch this, but like yeah, give this a shot if you like this type of stuff, and it would be antiviral.
okay. I can get with
What's your
that.
next movie after Muppets?
After Muppets, we got Creep. Now, I
Oh.
I really like Creep. I really
I've
like
seen
Creep.
Creep. I haven't seen the second one. I don't think I will, but I do like the first one.
No, the second one's okay. I think they got a little weird with it. The first one, it's such a great concept. It is really, really, really scary, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I find like being stuck somewhere or being in a situation where you can't leave is the scariest. And the actor, I can't remember his name, the actor that is Creep is extremely unsettling.
Yeah.
And the whole
I
premise
think
of
he
the
also
movie,
wrote the movie as well, too.
Creep, I don't watch it a lot because it really scares me, but I think it's one of those movies where it's just genuinely scary. I can't say how realistic it is because I mean at the end of the day like I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's the idea of being stuck with somebody and having to do this. Okay, I guess I could talk about the plot. Basically, this man gets hired to be a videographer for this guy who lives in the middle of nowhere because he says he's dying and he wants to record his last days, I guess, for his son. But it turns out to be a very sinister and unsettling situation. And
Mhm.
it's even funny at some points because he kind of just pops up sometimes out of nowhere. And it's genuinely one of the scariest movies, I think, for me.
I think it's also you know what? I think a reason why it is so creepy, as in the name of it, of course, is because it's also incredibly cringy and it's done well. And I say that because it is very hard to make like this movie makes you physically uncomfortable. Like that
Yes.
actor makes you physically uncomfortable. It's not like, it's like jump scary or anything like
No,
that, but his whole vibe and appearance and everything, it doesn't and it's done so well to the point where you don't think you're watching an actor. You think you're just watching some crazy sicko just do his thing, you know?
I will say that he is now on a show called The Morning Show that I watch. I can't see him the same.
Yeah.
Like that.
I forgot what he was in, but he was in something, and he's also pretty funny too. Like, oh yes, he was in the movie Tammy.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, he's in the movie Tammy. He's a pretty funny actor as well too. I think he's very very talented, and I think he should definitely. He was also in the movie Tully with Charlize Theron,
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen him in too much.
but he's very good. He's very very good, and I wish he would get bigger roles.
Yeah. So Creep for me is just it scares me a lot. It's super unsettling. Just the idea of it. Can't do it. So I recommend it for sure.
Gotcha. Um, I think antiviral will be number 11 for me, but number 10. So I'll just say that this is my number 10. Number 10 would be Jeepers Creepers.
Jeepers Creepers. That's a good one.
Creepers. I really liked it, and I even think like Justin Long's acting in it is fantastic. For a horror movie, his acting is fantastic in it. I think the special effects and everything are great. And this was actually one of the first horror movies I've seen as a kid, so I think that's why it also has like such an impact on me. But I think Jeepers Creepers, the first one, not the second, third, or fourth one, I think they're all. I think the first one is really good. I think also the idea that like this guy just like takes organs out and recycles them and uses it to keep himself like alive and stuff is pretty unique as well. And I think one of the scariest scenes in this movie is when he's in like the lair for like the Jeepers Creepers guy, and you just see like all the amounts of bodies just plastered like in this cave, like
Yeah.
all around, like just the bodies weaving in and out of each other. I always thought that was super creepy. And yeah, I just overall liked it. And a little fun fact, I live off the road that it was filmed on. That whole stretch of road where they film everything, Now it's completely different. Now there's like, 50 roundabouts up the wazoo because we
Oh
need
my
that here for the
God.
elderly in Central Florida. But I actually live right off the road where it was originally filmed. And you can still, like, they still kept some of the trees and stuff that you can see. One of them was struck by lightning. So it has like a really weird bark pattern on the outside of it. And so every time I pass by it, I'm like, oh, that's a Jeepers Creepers tree, because that's like the only thing that you could recognize from the movie now.
Where is it exactly?
The road that you take to my house.
Avalon?
It's that road. No. It goes, so I don't want to reveal my location.
I'm sorry. But,
You're
right.
No.
That was not right.
The road that,
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Essentially the road that you would take from your place to my place. That road with all the roundabouts and everything and all the new neighborhoods and stuff. That that road used to just go straight. 20 years ago, that road just used to go straight on forever. And it would just be like emptiness and like maybe a few pit stops or, a few homes here and there.
Wow. I didn't know. I always thought it was the
because
road.
It's changed so much. It does say that I think it used to be called like Lake County Road. That used to be the old name for it. But now, because there's so many different roads connecting, it changes it.
I can see that now. I know what you're talking about now, because I was thinking of somewhere else, but I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty weird that it's like right so close, And I also did meet Justin Long, and he was super cool. So that's also why I like Jeepers Creepers.
Love it. Mm-hmm. I also have a Justin Long movie on this list.
Is it none other
than Tusk? Yes, my next one is Tusk.
Oh, Tusk is higher on my list. Tusk is higher for me. I love Tusk.
What is it on your list?
I think it's number 4.
Oh wow, yeah. Tusk is. We have to put it on. It's our favorite. We put it above Night of the Living Dead, so it deserves a spot on this list.
And if anyone if Kevin Smith looked me in the face and said, what do you think is the best movie I've done? I would stare into his soul and wholeheartedly say, it's Tusk, my guy.
I agree.
Forget Clerks, forget Mallrats, forget every other thing you've made. Tusk is your piece de resistance.
Everybody jokes about it, but it really is a good, scary movie. Now, it's not perfect, but it's really good. The villain is so great.
He also thinks it's one of his best movies too.
Yeah.
And I agree. It's so good. The graphics for it and everything like that are so good. And the acting, my God, the acting is so good. Like, this movie goes hard. Like, it didn't have to. It could have easily been like a low budget, like, just with bad acting and everything. No, but all the actors gave like 200%. And it killed it. It was so good.
Yeah, I agree. The villain is good. And it is body horror. And I don't usually watch a lot of movies that have body horror, but this one does it so well. And it's a little wacky. So, that also works.
It's different, And I think also it actually genuinely has a good madman. When you see like all these different like B-rated movies and stuff where it's like, oh my God, there's an alligator and a shark. They mated and now we have Sharkgator. Yeah. They never have good acting. They never have good characters and everything like that. And of course the graphics always sucks too. This, even if the graphics were downgraded, it's still like immensely well acted. And the character and the speeches and everything that the main actor has in it is so good.
I agree.
So good.
I personally, my favorite part about it is the villain. It's a great villain, and yeah, the story just takes you for a ride. That's all I could say. You gotta watch it
for sure. And so that was number 7 or 8 for you.
8. How many to talk about? Creep.
10. So you did Creep, you did Tusk, and then you before that
Muppets.
You did one other movie.
Muppets. So yeah, it's not 10. Yeah, it's number 8.
Okay. For me on the list, I got Reanimator. I love Reanimator. The OG. Don't give me 2. Don't show me Reanimator 3 or 4. I don't care about those. Reanimator 1. I will say, this is, out of all the movies that are on here, this is the movie I want to remake the most. Because I do feel like there is one scene that takes away from the entire movie. The scene. It's dirty. It's with the head and everything. I thought it was unnecessary, and it kind of spoils the plot a little bit. But everything else about this movie, I thoroughly like.
I've yet to see it.
I think I also really like it because as someone who's a pharmacy student, it's cool seeing a horror movie kind of surrounded about like the med school type of, situation
You
and
can relate
everything.
to it, yeah.
Oh yeah, there's huge relatability for me. I'm just working on my drugs to, create the cure for life and everything, or the cure for death. But I really liked it. And yeah, I also think it's creepy and everything, but it's overall like the soundtrack. The soundtrack is marvelous. And once again, it's because the soundtrack, the theme for it is actually a remake of the Psycho theme. And it's so good.
Super. We gotta
So
watch
good.
it. You gotta show it to me when I'm there.
Yes. It's so good. So, okay, so what's your next film?
Ready or Not. I really like Ready or Not.
That's a great one. I was considering putting that on my list, but I don't know. It would have been probably like the next one after Antiviral.
Yeah, no,
me.
I really like it because, again, I like the genre. I guess it's not really a genre, but the what am I calling it? The whole like I'm in a place where I can't escape or I have to escape. Essentially, it's kind of like creep in that way, but I really like it.
It's genuinely great. Like I remember, like you took me to go see it, and I was like, I don't know if it's gonna be good, man, like and stuff like that. And you were like, no, like I heard great things about it, and we watched it, and I totally loved it. Like it was definitely an extremely fun horror movie. It had that scare factor, especially like with the nail and everything, and with the goat pit and all that type of stuff, But it was a great movie.
No, and you're on edge. If you like movies where like it gives you anxiety and you're on edge, this is the one to see. This is the one to see.
And it also really greatly breaks that, stereotype of your princess in distress type of thing, where it's literally like your bride in this movie turns into a shotgun wielding, Converse wearing, killer. Easily just flips the switch because she's just so angry at the situation she's in.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great movie. It came out maybe like 2 years ago now.
I think so, 2 or 3 years. I think 2019 it came out, so 2 years ago.
Super great. You got to check it out. I don't see a lot of people talking about it anymore. I feel like it's kind of forgotten a little bit, but I think it deserves a spot for sure.
All right, coolio. The next one for me, we talked about it recently. Suspiria, the 1977 version.
Nice.
I think it's fun. I think it's unique. I love the music to it. I think overall, like obviously we've talked about it, but I think it's a solid film. I think it's a solid film, and I recommend it more than the other ones in terms of the way that this film looks and just how unique it is. That's why I think it would place higher than Antiviral, Jeepers Creepers, and Reanimator.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What's your next one?
Corpse Bride.
Oh, I haven't seen that one in ages, but that's a good one.
I think it's a cute one. I think it's a spooky story, but it's fun. It's not super long either. It's one of the shortest movies I have on here, but it's because it's for kids. But I like it. I've always watched it when I was a kid. I like the animation style. We like Tim Burton. So, of course,
I was going to ask, since that's on there, is another Tim Burton film a little bit higher up?
Yes, but it's not animated.
Okay. Ooh, interesting. Okay, because I thought you were. I thought maybe in your top 5, A Nightmare Before Christmas would have been in there.
I have a little bit of a controversial opinion on it, but I never really took to it. Like I think it's fun.
Is that Nightmare Before Christmas is more of a Christmas film than a Halloween film? Because I believe that.
Yeah, but I never really like. I like Jack, but it was never really a big deal for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
the next one I have is Let the Right One In.
Great movie.
Another banger that we recently talked about. Great movie, overall great. It doesn't have the scare factor, and I think I mostly thought like, in terms of scariest, that's how I ranked it. But overall, probably out of all of them, it has one of the best storylines, one of the best best graphics and everything like that too. Special effects and everything. Let the Right One In, banger.
Yeah, I agree. One of the best vampire films for sure.
The best. Let's just say it. It's the best.
Oh yeah, it's well done. Yeah, no, it's the best.
Interview with the Vampire can friggin' wait, okay?
No, it's
This
better.
movie
It's
is where
better.
it's at.
It's better. I think in terms of like actual plot, dialogue, this movie is very good. Like
Hmm.
it's definitely taken more because I feel like the vampire genre isn't taken more seriously. That's
Yeah.
how we got all
Thanks,
these.
Twilight.
Yeah, no, but this one does it justice. I think we need to see more serious vampire films because I think even like
Yeah,
You ever see
especially.
Dracula? That movie was not good. So
I did not see it. It's too long. I always saw it and I was like, dang, that's a long movie. And I just never brought myself to watch it.
yeah, but this does the genre
You
justice.
get everything. You have your little romance in here, but without being too focused on it. You have great horror elements. You have an amazing plot. You got great music and everything. It's overall an amazing film.
Yeah.
What's your next one?
Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, I'm halfway through the movie and it's going to be my first time watching it. I know all the quotes and everything thanks to the game Seen It, but I
Seen
never
it.
actually watched it before.
Yeah, it's a crime film. It's a crime, and I think it's scary. I don't even think. I think the investigation, the serial killer in the movie is very scary, and I think the
Yeah,
whole
and
movie is a little unnerving, but it's
I
great.
really like it so far because it reminds me a lot of one of my favorite TV shows, Mindhunters.
Yeah, yeah,
The style of it involving Quantico, the FBI agent stuff, I do like that aesthetic. And I do think, and now even like looking back at it, I can definitely see where Mindhunter got some inspiration from Silence of the Lambs. And I think it does a great job. Silence of the Lambs, I mean.
yeah. No, I love it. I think, and that's why it's a classic. That's why it's in the Criterion. I think there's a lot of plot in the movie that's like there's different plots in the movie, but it all works together, and it's still
Mhm.
spooky. Still spooky.
Okay. For me, I got Exorcist. I
Oh my
like it.
god.
I like it a lot. I think it's good. I like the boxing priest. I like that he socks her in the face at the end. There's what's not to like about it. You know, it's overall really good. I mean, aside from the satanicism and everything like that, but I think it's great. It's definitely something that I recommend. And if you haven't seen it, I think you might not consider it too scary, but it definitely has scenes that'll make you uncomfortable, like with Creep. I think this movie might do it a little bit more because it is really graphic, but I like The Exorcist. I really do.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And what's your next one?
All right. Interview with the Vampire. I know you just talked about it, but I do.
Ooh.
It's not the best. It's not the best, but I really love the story. I like the idea of a 500-year-old vampire giving an interview and his story and going through it, and I like the timeline of the movie. I think you get a lot of plot for how long it is.
I think it's also with the actors in that movie some of their best. Like I do think it's Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise's best.
Yeah, I agree.
And I also think too, with that movie, it showed how diverse, because Tom Cruise was such a big actor and still is today. That actually showed the type of diversity that he was capable of, in my opinion. Like, you always either saw him as an action star or some type of melodrama, whereas this kind of put him in a different spotlight. And
Oh yeah.
I wish they did more experiments like that with Tom Cruise, because I do think he is very, very talented. I think he kind of reminds me of Timothy Chalamet in a way where I think Tom Cruise still acts because he genuinely loves acting.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
The next one on my list, House Sue.
House Sue's
So
great.
good. Available on the Criterion channel. Watch it. Fun. It's described to be a fantasy film, but it is horror. It's got great. It's for a horror movie that is relatively a little bit scary. It's really fun to watch
No,
because
it's
it's so
so
different.
great.
It's so, it's very playful for a horror movie. And I think that's why I like it so much. And the rewatchability of it is great. I think it's because it is so extravagant and so unlike any other movie out there. I think that's what makes it one of the best, because you can continually watch that every year and not get tired of it. Like, that's a movie that you can have as like a tradition without getting bored of it, in
And
my opinion.
super trippy too.
Yep. All right. What's your next one?
Sleepy Hollow.
I've never seen it.
Never? Johnny Depp?
No. I know. I lack in the Johnny Depp game, you know?
It's a Tim Burton film, and it's about the horseless headman. You know the stories about horseless headman, whatever,
Yeah, the
Jack the
Headless Horseman?
Ripper,
No.
kind of.
Yes, Headless Horseman. Were you saying Horseless Headman?
Yes.
Headless Horseman.
Yeah, and it's about it's about Ichabod Crane. You ever
Yeah.
heard like that? And I think Disney made a movie about it at some point. I really like the story. I feel like people have tried to do something like this, even Disney, and it's failed. And of course,
Mhm.
Tim Burton puts his little touch on it. I really like it. I think it's also great to watch in October just because the movie is so gray and ugly,
Mhm.
but it's a great movie to watch. I really like the story.
Okay. I'll have to give it a shot. I've heard many good things about it, but I just never it just never I don't know, it just never spoke to me, you
No,
know?
I
The
didn't
weird
watch it
movies speak
till
to me.
a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it.
I'll have to check it out then.
Yes.
So my next one was going to be Tusk. So since that, and since I also have another one, I'm just going to go straight into my third film.
Okay.
Don't be mad at me, bestie. Don't be mad at me. I'm
No.
disappointed.
Is it Lars? It's Lars.
It is Lars.
Oh no.
And it's the house that Jack built.
That is
I
so
can't shake
intense
it.
to recommend for
I can't
Halloween.
shake it.
I
And
can't.
it's not even number one. It's not even number one.
Fine,
Don't
I'll-
worry, there's no other Lars films on this list except for The House That Jack Built and Riget, the TV show. The House That Jack Built, it's once again chokehold on me ever since I watched it. I've seen it 3 times since, and I feel like a maniac for being able to say that because it is such a hard to watch movie.
It's such a cursed film, in my opinion. Once you watch it, that's it. You'll always have it in your head.
And
Like
I
you're
think
never shaking it.
I love Matt Dillon in this movie. I never really cared for Matt Dillon, but he is so good in this movie, and I wish he was given more stuff
Oh,
because
no,
he
this
is
showed his
genuinely
range.
phenomenal
Yes.
in this movie.
Yeah.
Because it is so hard to play someone that is this condescending, this psychopathic, but also still trying to keep a relatively normal composure throughout the entire movie. It's overall just really impressive. I love the idea that you now have a horror movie about a serial killer and you added in literary elements like Dante's Inferno. I thought that was genius. I love that type of combination, you know? I would say Antiviral, if we did this like top 15, Antiviral would have been on my list. However, I do think The House That Jack Built is more I think did I say Antiviral? I mean Antichrist. Antichrist
God.
is definitely a harder watch for the physicality of it, but I think this is a harder watch for the mentality of it.
No, we need to put a
Antichrist, I don't-
disclaimer. Like,
Sorry, guys.
no, well, okay, I'll say this. The House That Jack Built is one of the best movies about a serial killer. And the plot is amazing. The overall movie is one of the best. I'll give that to Lars. But like I said, it's a cursed movie. Once you watch this, it's very hard to shake off. Very, very
Yeah.
hard. There's a lot of disturbing. It's probably maybe the most disturbing movie I've ever seen.
And also keep in mind too, I think it's also Lars's talent is able to make movies that just stick in your head while having to do the jump scares, while having to do, the traditional horror. A lot of his scenes are very artistic. And
Yeah.
even like an Antichrist, I just think I don't know. Like I can shake off Antichrist. I can go a week without thinking about Antichrist, Not The House That Jack Built. It's just because I think it's, Antichrist, you could watch that and be like, wow, that couple's crazy. Glad I'll never be like that. Whereas this movie, once you kind of realize the schematics of how a serial killer brains work, you can sense some little relatability. And I say very little. I think it just more so humanizes it. And that's what makes it really scary because you're able to have some type of sense of relatability. Not like, oh yeah, I've always thought about killing my neighbor, not like that. But just seeing how he does it and seeing how he thinks about certain things and stuff like that. It is very human for someone who's psychopathic.
No, yeah. I mean, I think that's why I had to stop watching the movie. Like I stopped watching the movie maybe 3 or 4 times. Like I had to take breaks. And it wasn't always the violence. It wasn't always that. But like there are times where you're just kind of with him and you're like that thought, that idea is just so unnerving in itself because
I
you can
also
start to
think
understand, oh, you know, and it not that you can relate to him in terms like you were saying like, oh, you know what? I get it, but you can start to find like pieces where you're kind of like, you know, I understand, and that's where you're
like
just
you
like,
understand him.
ugh.
You understand him and his motives and why he's done things and things like that, and that's what makes it scary. But another thing too about it is that Lars von Trier is notoriously a pompous director, and this is the only film that I know of his where his pompousness and his own exuberance for himself works with the movie and adds another layer into that narcissism and the psychopathic nature of this character. Because essentially, you know, Lars loves himself. It's so blatantly obvious from his movies, even when you watch Antichrist and everything. But this is one of his movies that actually uses that as an advantage.
That's why I'm scared of him. He wrote and made all these characters, including this one. I'm like, this man is capable of a lot of things. You're not going to tell me otherwise. I'm
Yeah.
scared. I'm scared of Lars.
Now, quick question. Because he is such a controversial, very one of a kind director, we can both agree on that, you know? Is there anything you'd like to see him do? Like, is there any type of concept, any type of thing that you'd like to see him produce?
Yeah.
Because that's very hard because he has such his own specific set and style. I don't know if he could take something and remake it of his own or like take a genre or a period of time and make it from there.
If I'm giving him a challenge, I'd like to see him do something in the Victorian era. Because I can see him doing something like he did. The house that Jack built wasn't taking place now, but a lot of his movies are, from what I understand, very modern. If I'm
Yes.
giving him a challenge, I want him to figure out something he can do in like the early 1900s, Victorian era. Because I
Gotcha.
feel like a lot of movies that take place during that era are romance. I think the first thing a lot of people think of is the Martin Scorsese film,
Yeah.
early 1900s. If I'm giving him a challenge, I'd like to him to figure out something in that era because I feel like Lars is a very modern director.
I think also just thinking about it, I think he would really do well because of his stylistics and how it is very reminiscent of Soviet era films. I think he would do really good at doing like a nuclear explosion Chernobyl type. There's a movie called The Red Desert. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah.
It's with the Michelangelo Antonioni and everything, and it's essentially about this power plant that is like releasing chemicals into the air and kind of manipulating people. I think he could do something like that. And I'm gonna go because Europa was I thought Europa of his was fantastic. I'd
Yeah,
love to
yeah.
see him do something related to the Vietnam War.
That's a good point. Um, I think that'd be good. Do more
I think
war
because he
films.
could do black and white World War II, that looked fantastic and everything. You know, it was, and I'm just going to say it, the Schindler's List before Schindler's List, but with a little bit more experimentation on it
Mm-hmm.
in terms of like the directing style and everything. I think he could do something incredible, like an Apocalypse Now type of film, and make it visually incredible.
Absolutely. That's a good point. We
Lars,
were
I challenge you.
no, do a Victorian film. That's it. You want to prove
A
to me?
Victorian Vietnam War film.
That's it. If he wants to, I mean, we actually had this conversation about Christopher Nolan. I don't know if you remember. We were talking about how it would be really cool if he did something that was out of his element. Like we were talking about if he did like a romance.
Yeah.
I would like to see Lars do that. Do something that's totally different. Maybe not so much out of his element, but just different.
Oh my god, a Lars von Trier House Sue remake? God, I
Oh
think my
God,
eyes would
no.
fall out of my head.
We
That
can't
would just
take
be
that.
too visually much.
I don't think we could take much more. No.
Man, the people of Denmark, even just the Denmark content that is just produced is a whole nother breed.
What's going
A
on
whole
there?
nother breed.
We have
I
to
don't
figure
know.
out what's going on there.
We got to look at their mental health rates because I'm genuinely concerned for the nation of Denmark. Because even like if you think of like, you know, all the other movies that have come out from Zentropa and all other Denmark films, they're rough. They're
They are.
rough. The
They're
whole
just
Dogma
having a hard
95
time
scene,
there.
Jesus,
Yeah, they're just having a hard
for
time there.
sure.
That's it.
For sure. Okay, so I said the house that Jack built. What's your number 2?
A
Or
Quiet.
3. I don't know where we're at right now.
I'm at 2, so A Quiet Place.
Really? That I was not expecting from you.
Yes, I really like A Quiet Place. I think it has just a lot of elements to it. I think it has monster horror. It just has, thrilling moments in itself, but it's also something you can relate with. And the movie doesn't give you a break. It's just one of those uptight movies, and I think it's very unique. I think it's one of the better scary movies that's come out in the past 5 years. And it had a great sequel.
I do think, compared to Paranormal 15, whatever, I think it is really good. And I also like, it definitely has like a nice diversity inclusion, including like with the sign language and everything with the girls who are deaf and stuff. I do appreciate that stuff. I do appreciate being able to see some type of like diversity when it comes to casting of that nature.
No, I think it's very unique. I think we don't get a lot of good monster movies anymore, so I really enjoy it.
I am really proud of our list because we have made a list so far, and I don't think it's going to pop up on your list without mentioning Ari Aster. Let's just give it a round of applause for that, because every horror list I've seen has Midsommar and Hereditary at the top. Screw Midsommar. Hereditary was decent, but it's not the best of the best, guys. Move on.
I think Ari Aster is very overrated. Not that he's not a good... Midsommar was garbage. You can't tell me otherwise. I'm sorry. Hereditary was fine in terms of like... I can't even say I'm a big fan of Hereditary. I just don't care for his films. Point blank.
That's fair. I think Hereditary visually is well, but like
the acting is very good also. No, Midsommar's...
Yes. Midsommar, no. Who I think needs to just... Ari Aster needs to take a break, and we need to start giving, in terms of similar directors, but someone who does it better, Robert Eggers, who did The Lighthouse. Give that man more stuff. I think he's better.
He also did...
I consider Lighthouse is more scary.
He also did The Witch. Did you hear about his new movie that's coming out?
No. Which new movie?
It's a thriller, and it's Viking themed.
Oh, I'm hyped.
And Alex Skarsgård's in it.
Hyped.
But you know how I found out?
How?
Because Daddy Defoe is also in it.
Amazing.
Somebody put a picture of it. I'm like, I have to... Whatever that man is in, we're going to go see.
Oh, it's called The Northman.
Yes. I don't know who else is in it, but I know Skarsgård and Defoe.
That's the funniest thing. Savannah, you need to go on your phone right now and look up The Northman, because if you see the photo that they have chosen for Alexander Skarsgård, it is him in a tuxedo, an undershirt with no pants. It is him in underwears as his IMDb photos. I do not understand this. Go to The Northman or go to Alexander Skarsgård IMDb page and you will see what I mean.
All right, hold on.
Right now, whoever's listening to, go on IMDb so you can see this, because this is just not what I was expecting when I clicked on this movie. And
why does he have no pants? Why is that his picture?
I do not know. Why someone on his team got pissed and went into his IMDb page and changed that for him.
That is really horrible. That's really bad. That is so funny.
Oh my god, I'm so hyped for this movie already. You want to know why? Bjork is in it.
Bjork! They brought back Bjork!
She's the Slav witch.
Oh my gosh.
I'm hyped for this. This is going to be so good. Yeah, you guys who are obsessing about Ari Aster, go to see a therapist. Just go get help.
That man, no. Yeah. You guys just like shock value, I think. That's the truth. I think people that like his films...
What? I think he's... Visually, he does good, but I think he's got to take a break from writing his own stuff. I think he's better as a director than a writer.
Okay, I could see that. But
I think he's definitely better as a director in terms of the color and everything than as a writer.
Yeah, I can't vibe with it. Can't do it. Don't like it.
But Robert Eggers
deserves more praise. Deserves more praise, yeah.
Of course. That man is single-handedly carrying cinematography nominations. You know, he's just doing so good with that stuff.
Yeah.
And also, I think he also wrote The Lighthouse, right? Yeah, he also wrote The Lighthouse. Do you know what skill level you have to have in order to write an entire script in Old English.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, banger.
Me
Banger.
lobster.
Wait a minute. Does Midsummer take place in Denmark?
No. Oh, Sweden. I thought.
I thought it was Denmark. I just realized that. I was
Oh
like, wait,
God.
now we're starting to make more sense here.
We got to see that. Hold on. Let me see. Where does Midsummer? Where does this take place?
It just says Swedish. It is Sweden. Okay. But yeah. So, anyways, Robert Eggers is in. Ari Aster is out. That's the verdict for us. So, what was the last movie you said?
Psycho.
Oh no, you didn't say it yet.
Oh, Psycho. Well, it's Psycho, number one.
Psycho's great. I love seeing it in the theaters. Usually, like every year or every other year, the theater near me plays it, and I used to go see it all the time with my friend Miranda.
It's such a great movie to show. Like the twist at the end is always so great. I remember 2 years ago, I brought our friend Caitlin to go see it, and she never saw it before, and she loved it. She was so surprised by the ending. So it's always so fun to show people who haven't seen it before. And it's so fun to see regardless. So I think
I will say Bates Motel does kind of deviate from the original ending, but it works. They still made it work. But if you like Psycho, you gotta watch Bates Motel.
I'm gonna definitely watch it.
Non-negotiable. You're doing your life a dishonesty by not watching Bates Motel.
No, I love Psycho, so I'm gonna watch Bates Motel for sure.
Bates Motel, baller. For me, my second film, the best Steven Spielberg movie of all time, Poltergeist.
Okay. I was expecting this. Yeah, Poltergeist is very good.
I stand by that. You can say, oh, what about Schindler's List? Cool, but Poltergeist. No offense. I just really like Poltergeist.
You keep talking about Schindler's List.
I say that because I used to really like Schindler's List, but Europa came first. So now I kind of have a little bit of a beef with Schindler's List.
I understand.
Because Spielberg tried to pull a Lars, And I kind of understand that frustration with Lars, Spielberg, come on. Your best stuff was Poltergeist. Bring it back. Don't do a remake of it like how you did before. But Poltergeist is fantastic. The special effects, the acting.
80s horror. Absolutely.
It is incredible. Yeah. It is so good. And if anyone's like, oh my God, what about Warhorse? Warhorse? Get out of here.
Who's talking about Warhorse?
Leave. I don't know. Arguably, the only one that I could understand would probably be Jaws, because Jaws is great
Jaws
too.
Is great.
But it got nothing on Poltergeist. I will say that till my dying breath.
Poltergeist is good. I like Poltergeist.
It's so good. It's just incredible. So is Psycho your number one or your number two?
No, Psycho's my number one.
Psycho's your number one. Okay. So the last one, because I said Antiviral. Antiviral was my number 11. So my number 2 is Poltergeist. My number 1 is The Thing.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say it.
Don't be coming at me with any other thing. If you're saying this is the best horror movie of all time, and if it's not at least a John Carpenter derivative, you're messing up. You're doing something wrong.
Okay. Have you ever seen In the Mouth of Madness?
No.
John Carpenter film. You got to see it.
In the Mouth of Madness? What? When was that?
1990 something.
Is that with Christopher Reeves?
No. It's the guy from Jurassic Park.
Sam Neill.
It's not the best, but I think you would enjoy it. It's not the best, but I know you like John Carpenter. But yeah, The Thing is great. The Thing is peak monster horror.
It is peak monster horror. It is peak horror. And I think also, too, it is so good because now when you consider with COVID and anything, now that fear that is involved in The Thing is even more relatable to modern times.
It's real. It's real now. Yeah.
It's so good. I love Kurt Russell. All the actors were great in it. And this is also one of those things where you have an ensemble, but all the characters in it really stand out on their own, whether it's Fuchs, whether it's Knowles, whether it's Childs, whether it's, Doc, any of them. I can name all of them, guys. I'm a fan. But I used to literally be a Thing like the Thing quiz, and I think I scored number 3 out of the entire app. I scored number 3 because I knew all the people. But yeah, like it's just overall One of the best. It was the movie that I watched that I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do.
Do you know
And
it's ranked like the best remake of all time?
Yes, it is. And I really don't consider it as a remake. I'll be honest. I feel like it deviates so differently from it. And that's why it can be considered the best remake of all time, is because it really took all the good parts of The Thing from Another World and really explored on that. And that's why I think it is the best remake. But this, I've even read the original novel, Who Goes There? And it's so good. Like, overall, The Thing is prime time cinema in general. Not just horror cinema, just cinema in general. That theme by Ennio Morricone, don't come at me with anything else. Do not try to convince me The Thing is the best movie ever, aside from Last Tango in Paris. But I'm not going to defend that because I've defended myself too many times. The Thing.
We have to explain the Last Tango in Paris thing. At what point?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know how I go from The Thing to Last Tango in Paris. I genuinely don't know. I don't understand that connection, but it's there, and I'm not going to argue with it.
No, then at some point we have to talk about Last Tango in Paris. We have to explain that.
I feel like I constantly am. Just go on my TikTok. I mention it like every other TikTok. Because I feel like I'm like, here's Last Tango in Paris. And then all of a sudden I'm reading at like a mile a minute my disclaimer on the movie and why I like it, so no one comes at me. Because people have tried. And I'm like, you silly goose. You don't think I'm technically a historian for Last Tango in Paris? You don't think I know everything? Come on.
On Stephanie's birthday, not this past year, but 2020, she tore me to shreds on an episode because I think I scored it like a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. And I
think because you were going to go 8 first. You were going to go like 8.0. And I would not have accepted anything except a 9.0 because, Savannah, you know cinema like I do, and that is non-negotiable.
I don't remember what my reasoning was, but I just remember.
Imagine if I watched The Muppets and I'm like, it's a 4. It's a 4 for me, dog. Like, no, I wouldn't do that to you because I know, even though that it's not my shtick, it's not my thing.
I think I was going to give it like an 8.7, and I think that's what set you off.
That's dog shit. That's dog doo-doo, okay?
I don't even remember why, but I just remember you ripped me to shreds.
Because you were in a silly, goofy mood, Savannah.
I think I was.
In a silly, goofy mood, and you almost crossed a line in our friendship for the first time in 5 freaking years. We've never had an argument before, and you had the audacity to just tip your little friggin' toe over that line. Not even a full foot. You just put your little pinky toe on that line, and I knew you were about to try me and try my life.
It caught me so off guard because you're usually just like, oh, I can see that. And the minute I said it, I just remember you going.
I think it's because also Last Tango in Paris, I'm understanding to that. The Thing, non-negotiable. Like, Last Tango in Paris is a weird movie. I understand that not everyone's going to like that. The Thing? You don't like The Thing?
No, I
read a book. Get a Persona. I don't know what's wrong with you if you don't like The Thing. My God.
Dude, all right, you guys got to go find that episode. It's The Thing episode that came out June 2020. You got to hear her.
Birthday episode. It was my birthday episode. You almost did that to me on my birthday, Savannah.
I've since apologized. That was a year and a half ago.
You didn't have to apologize because I stopped you before you made an irreconcilable mistake.
Yeah,
I'm going to watch the Muppet movie. We're going to be at Mama Rosa's at Disney for your birthday. And I'm going to be like, Savannah, to be honest, Pepe, I'm getting alarms up the wazoo in here. But I'm going to be like, Pepe, not that great. And you're going to cry on your birthday, just like how I was almost on the verge of tears for my birthday.
You can't do that. Not in Muppets Land. We'll literally be in the Muppets Land. No.
I will literally, dude, Kermit the Frog comes up to me, spitting in his face. Spitting in his face.
He didn't do nothing to you.
Just some poor employee just carrying, like, you know, Kermit on a little puppet. I'm just spitting in his face.
No.
And that's why. Because, and I'm not going to. I'm just saying that's where the threat line would start if you had crossed me.
I didn't. I took it back. I gave it like, I think I gave it higher.
There's 2 opinions that three opinions. 3 opinions that I have that if you go against, because look, I understand my movie taste is not always that sane. I get that. there's 3 movie opinions that if you cross over, you gotta walk away. You gotta walk away. That is thinking The Thing is anything less than a 9.0 out of 10.
Okay.
Even if it's not your thing. There's if you think The Martian is better than Interstellar,
oh no,
you need help.
That's
you
a
need
problem.
psychiatric help. I've almost lost friends because of this. If you think The Martian is better, a disproven scientific film is better than something that is actually possible and leaves room for possibilities, you need help.
I didn't even think
And
people
then-
had that opinion because The Martian is just low tier.
The third thing, you think Tusk is horrible? Leave the room. Leave the nation. Please.
No, if you
Those
don't
are my
like Tusk, you don't
non-negotiables.
have culture. If you don't like Tusk, you just don't have culture.
You don't understand basic Americana, and that's the issue.
It's Canadian.
You know, how the hell are you going to look at me and say, oh my God, I love Paranormal Activity, I love Insidious, but you're actually going to look at me and judge me for liking Tusk? Leave.
That's
Leave.
a red flag. If you like Paranormal Activity 4, I don't know.
If you don't like Invader Zim, leave. That's another non-negotiable. Even
Invader
if it's not your
Zim?
thing. You could say it's not my thing, but I think it's cute. If you think it's scary and it's terrifying, leave.
I gotta figure out my non-negotiables. I feel like, I don't know. I have to really think about that.
Mine are just so set in stone. I feel like everyone knows. Like the minute I meet someone, we start talking about movies. I'm like, hi, yeah, I'm Stephanie. Don't say this to me. Don't you ever bring up The Martian to me.
We should just make shirts.
Like,
We should make shirts of
Yeah.
our rules.
That is my list. That is where I stand. You have different opinions. That's cool. But your opinions about The Thing and Poltergeist are just going to be wrong, bro. Unless you agree with me or unless you're more enthusiastic about it than me. Those are the only caveats that
You
work.
guys,
for
she
that.
almost ruined my life over like an 8.7. So I would listen to her.
It was my birthday. Everything was going so well. And then you sneak up and you Brutus me. I'm your Julius Caesar and you almost stabbed me in the back 40 times.
I don't even remember why. I don't remember, but maybe because it was, I don't know if it had to do with like the length of the film.
Savannah, you
don't
were
remember.
in a silly, goofy mood, and that is just what I'm going to leave it as that. Because any other theory about it is going to hurt me. It's going to hurt me.
I think I was in a silly, goofy mood. I
It's not-
understand.
no,
I
if there's nothing
understand
to
now.
think about, you were.
Yeah.
You were.
Okay.
So that is our top 10 list with some honorable mentions and some TV show mentions. If you happen to seen these movies before, let us know what you think about them. If you're going to check out any of the movies that we said, let us know too. Also, what's your top 10? Give it, like, wherever you're listening to, YouTube, wherever it may be, Audemic Media. Leave your comments. What's your favorite horror movie to watch this season? And if it's something that we didn't mention, and maybe it might be something that we haven't seen before, and you might open up our eyes to something. Any The Thing or Poltergeist slander, you will be blocked. That's just going to happen. You will be blocked. I don't care.
Don't talk about the Muppets.
I will make, and Muppet slander, you will be blocked. That's just non-negotiable at this point. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening. As always, shout out to Sensei David and Homeboy James. And if you're listening right now, we have a ton of links down in the below to Patreon, to our TikToks, to Instagram, all things like that. We did end up going about 2 weeks without posting, but the next time you are listening to us, we will actually have our Freak Week video, podcast episode, and everything done up and uploaded. So this is kind of like a little bonus video content to make up for the 2 weeks that we weren't able to make content. And yeah, so we hope you enjoy that. In the Freak Week episode, we talk about the movie The Night Porter, Antichrist, and the movie The Exorcist in depth. And warning, it is a little bit graphic just because those, movies are graphic in general, especially Antichrist and The Exorcist. But thank you guys so much for listening. And yeah, happy Halloween movie watching.
Bye.
Bye.